Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Cage My IQ Presents. I am your host, Cage. Joining with me, as always, is my co-host, Jim. How's it going, Jim?
It's going good, man. How are you?
I am doing good. Today, we are doing our four-card breakdown for UFC on ABC3, our breakdown and bet and odds show, which is headlined by Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. What are your thoughts on this card when it was first announced?
I love this card. I love all the matchups. There's some really interesting matchups. A lot of um, decisions to be made with the victors of said matchups because there's a lot of ranked opponents in the main card. So I'm looking forward to this card a lot.
Of course, as always, this is Cage My IQ. If you haven't done so already and this is your first time turning into the channel, please follow and subscribe to us on social media. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, as you see down below. Please hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss any of the content that we put out. And then please smash the like button also that's down below. And please hit us up in the comment section and let us know what you think of our predictions and give us your thoughts and opinions on UFC on ABC3. And then we also have now activated our Cash App. So if you want to support the show, you can donate to us. It is not needed, but we appreciate it if you do so in any way. So once again, our Cash App is $DanielBakley. So if you want to support the show, it is helpful but not needed. So let's get down and break down this 13 fight card in Long Island, New York. This is an early card for us this
Yeah.
week. Saturday, it's going to be starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and then the main card will start around 2 Eastern Time as well. So we're going to have a nice and early fight night card, and it's going to be live on TV on ABC and ESPN simulcast. So you can watch this and then have a lot of time left in the rest of the day to go and do something with your friends and family, which is nice thing because usually these cards are later in the evening and then at night.
Yep.
But let's get started with the predictions right here. The first one we have is a women's strawweight matchup between veteran Jessica Penne going up against Invicta FC fighter Emily Dakota. We got Jessica Penne, and then we got Gordina Dakota. Jim, what are your thoughts on this strawweight matchup, and then who do you have winning?
Yeah, I have Emily Dakota winning this one. Penne has looked really good as of late, but struggled against more aggressive strikers in the past, which Dakota has four knockout wins, two of which were in her last two fights. So that's something to kind of look at. She has decent grappling, but has been susceptible to arm bars, which was Penne's last method of winning. Penne's got a good ground game. If this goes to the ground, I don't think Dakota's going to win this fight, but I see Dakota outworking Penne and racking up enough volume on the feet to get the win. So I'm going with Emily Dakota by decision.
You mentioned a great point there with the ground and the striking. Of course, Jessica Penne, she has a kickboxing background. She also trains in a few other areas on the feet, but then she has a judo background and a wrestling background. So
Yeah.
she is going to try and get the fight to the ground as much as possible. In her wins, she averages 2 to 3 takedowns a fight. And it's all about the takedown, and then over half of our fights are won by submission. With that BJJ background, West Emily Dakota, she I believe has that Taekwondo background. She also has a wrestling and BJJ background, so she looks to get the fight to the ground as well, but if she doesn't, she is a great point fighter slash counter fighter where
Yeah.
she will stand up and then as the fight gets going, she gets sharper with the striking. She likes to throw her lower calf kick. She likes to throw the jab and then the hook as well. So just like you said, it depends on if the fight stays standing or if it goes to the feet. I think known with that grappling background that she has, if she can keep the fight standing, I like Emily Dakota by decision as more of a point fighter because I feel like she can out volume Jessica Penne, whereas I feel like Jessica Penne needs to get the fight to the ground several times and look for that submission. If the fight goes to the ground, Jessica Penne has a great chance of winning. But I feel like Emily Dakota's gonna get that win in her debut. She's actually the slight favorite in this matchup, which kind of shocks me because of Penne being a vast veteran and then Dakota coming in her debut. She has fought in Bellator, and then she recently won the championship in Invicta FC. And somebody that she fought recently, Danielle Taylor, actually beat Jessica Penne by decision. So maybe that's why they're going with Dakota as the favorite, but I'm picking her to win by decision.
Yeah, one of the things that the odds makers could be looking at too is that Jessica Penne is coming off a 1 year layoff while Dakota fought 2 months ago. So
Yeah.
usually the active fighter kind of gets the nod unless it's like a you know well-known striker who's never
Yeah.
had ring rust ever.
Yep. But let's move on to the next fight on this card. We got a men's welterweight matchup between Phil Breaux going up against Abubakr and Nurmagomedov. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Phil Rowe in this fight. He has a massive reach advantage and height advantage, plus he pours in the volume. Nurmagomedov has power, but is hittable. I feel Rowe is going to use his reach advantage to back Nurmagomedov to up to the cage and rack up volume into dirty boxing in that kind of like judo clinch kind of style that he has. I think this is going to set up a second round knockout for Phil. So I see Phil the Fresh Prince Rowe winning by second round knockout.
Yeah, what a nickname right there, the Fresh Prince. He is from the Philadelphia area,
Yep.
so what a nickname to go with. Of course, you got a lot of shoes to fill if you're going to have that nickname. But they both have the same weight, of course. You, he has the 4 inch height advantage, and then of course that 7 inch reach advantage.
Yeah.
So that is a big deal for somebody coming into this fight, even though he's going up against a vast grappler in Abubakr and Nurmagomedov. He is a knockout puncher and with that right hand. So if he does connect on that shot, that he's going to win. But he has struggled against decent grapplers in the past. He did get
Yeah.
taken down 4 or 5 times against Jason Witt before he arguably caught him and knocked him out. But Jason Witt also came into that and had trouble with transitioning with the takedowns with Phil Breaux. Phil
Yep.
Breaux, with his boxing, has a BJJ background and trains with the likes of guys like that are very good in grappling. Of course, we know the black belt ninja killer. He trains with him. So that's a guy that can really go into training with him and help him defend.
Yeah.
But there's just something about these Nurmagomedovs and with their grappling that makes me want to take Abubakr Nurmagomedov by submission around 2 because they know how to get you down, even though you have a reach advantage. They know how to get inside the the reach of you, get you down, and then transition well against you. Phil Brown, like I said, he trains really good grapplers, but he's been taken down easily. And if he doesn't connect on that shot, it's not like he has high volume in his fights. It's usually he gets that one punch knockout shot and then he wins. But I think he's going to have a hard time doing so. I know he trains with Rodolfo Vieira, but I don't think I think there's a difference between training with a guy like that has like 1 round cardio, and then a guy like Nurmagomedov who's going to have great cardio and can grapple the whole time. It's going to be a tough task for him unless he gets that knockout. So I'm going with Abubakr Nurmagomedov by second round submission. I think he gets him with the rear naked choke. I think he wears him out, and then Phil Rowe comes close to hitting him with a shot, but he doesn't, and Phil Rowe ends up getting the loss.
I feel like having the Nurmagomedov last name is a cheat code in MMA. Like the
Yeah,
judges, all like you already have 2 points in your favor, but Rowe has been more active. Nurmagomedov's been off for almost for over a year and 4 months, so he may come out slow, which could set up that
yeah.
knockout for Rowe. But I could see this fight going either way.
And he is the guy that was suspended for the year too, I believe, in the
Yeah,
whole McGregor Habib fight incident at the end. But he did come back, and he did have a fight, two fights afterwards. So uh, in 2020 and after, so I don't think that should be too much of a hindrance for him in this fight. But it'll be something to keep an eye on.
yeah.
Moving on to the next fight on the prelims, we have another men's matchup between Dwight Grant, who's going up against Dustin Stults. This is going to be contested at middleweight. We got the body snatcher going up against Dustin Stoltzfus. And in this fight, who do you have winning? And then what are your thoughts on this fight, Jim?
Yeah, yeah, man. This is going to be a low volume fight, but give me Dwight Grant in this fight. Stoltzfus has been underwhelming since his contender series fight with while Grant has struggled in his last two fight times out. Um, I still think Dwight Grant has more tools than Dustin Stoltzfus at this point in their career. So I'm going to go second round knockout, Dwight Grant.
Yeah, if you look right here, he has a slight height advantage and a slight reach advantage. But then he's also 15 pounds lighter, so that's something to keep an eye on in this matchup because Stoltzfus is usually coming in at the weight class ahead. But now I want to see how Dwight Grant does putting weight on. Maybe
Yeah,
it'll
he's
help
going
him
up.
out in this fight. But Dwight Grant's coming in. He has the utilized the several styles of the kickboxing. He has a little bit of Muay Thai, a little bit of striking, and then BJJ. Whereas Dustin Stoltzfus is BJJ and kickboxing. And Dwight Grant usually comes in and he's really good with the flurry of strikes and he counters well. He has that knockout power. He looked great in the first round of the last fight, but then he got hit and finished in the second round of that fight. The one hindrance in his game is his chin. He is very chinny in fights. He comes out great, and then he gets hit, and then he gets put to sleep. It's something that has followed him the last couple years. Whereas Dustin Stoltzfus has very low volume and usually gets outpointed and loses by decision. But in the last fight, he had a very good fight up until Mearshart submitted him. So he started to look better as a fighter. He was starting to put it all together, but then he gets taken down like that. He actually took down Mearshart 3-4 times in that fight,
Yeah.
and he started to showcase more of a better fighter. So I feel like this is going to be a situation where it's going to be either Dwight Grant knocks him out or Stoltzfus wins by decision because I feel like Stoltzfus had all of his losses. You got submission, and decision. So he hasn't got knocked out, and he's been tested by a lot of grapplers, uh, and he's gone to decision. So it's going to come down to those. And I'm actually going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to go with Dustin Stoltzfus by
Wow.
decision here because I feel like he can withstand the barrage. I don't think he's going to get knocked out. And it's a matter of what have you done for us lately. And even though he's lost 3 times and then Drake Grant has lost twice, I liked what I saw in the last fight for Stoltzfus before he got submitted. He was actually winning that fight before that happened. So I'm going to go with him to pull off the upset.
All right. Dwight Grant going up is something big. I mean,
Yeah.
is he going to have more speed, more power because that weight cut's going to be less? But he also has 7 KO wins, most of them coming in the first round. So he's a quick starter. This one's going to be
Yeah.
like I said, low volume, but I see it ending in possibly both the ways that you said.
Yeah. And another thing, I think, how is it going to affect his cardio? Because he usually has cardio issues as well.
Yeah.
So now he's putting on weight and he's going to be moving the way he does. That could slow him down even more, just like you said, and empty his gas tank faster. We don't know. So,
Yeah. But that, I mean, that could also be a side effect of the weight cut, putting that weight on so quick and being depleted. So this might be his walk around weight, and the cut
yeah,
might be cake for him.
yeah. We don't know, but it'll be something to keep an eye on and see. I do think it's going to be a good fight. It just might come down to that knockout happening or not, just like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, I definitely have that fight circled.
Yeah. But let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We have a matchup that was put together because both of their opponents had to bail out of the fight, so they just put them together into the matchup. We got Bill Ogio, Senor Perfecto, going up against Herbert the Blaze Burns. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't have either of these winning their previous matchups,
Yeah.
which makes this one really interesting to me. I'm going to go with Herbert Burns in this one, but it depends on which Bill Algeo shows up. Burns has been a finisher as of lately, while Algeo has been a decision fighter. If Algeo is the higher volume fighter, more aggressive on his feet, he can land a decision win. But I see Burns getting the fight to the ground and winning by a second round submission.
Yeah, and he's also coming in off on a long layoff too. Burns
Yep.
is the last fight he lost to Dana Primate almost 2 years ago, but then he has wins by submission, KO, submission, and submission. Whereas Algeo beat Borah in his last time 5 months ago by decision. He lost by decision. He won by decision, lost by decision, and then won by decision. So he's going to decision
Yep.
majority of the time. And he has the 1 inch height advantage, and basically they have the same reach advantage. So there's no real advantage in all that in this matchup. But it's basically going to be a striker grappler and Ogio going up against BJJ grappling expert in Herbert Burns. As you know, he is the younger brother, I believe, of Gilbert Burns. They both train together. They have the same style, except for the fact that Gilbert Burns strikes a lot more than Herbert Burns does. Herbert Burns is all about grappling, getting the fight to the ground, and submitting his opponent, and then he has a little bit of striking. Whereas Gilbert is lately has been majority striker and likes to stand up bang, but then he does have that grappling background to fall on if that's not working. And I think in this matchup, I'm going to go with Bill Algeo by decision here because I feel like he's not going to fall into the traps that Burns is going to put on him. He got taken down once or twice against Burrito, but he showed great submission defense in that, and he wound up allowing Brito to tire out, and then he took over with his timely striking and counters that he has. He has very good cardio. He has good movement. I like the use of the calf kick and strike combination that he uses in fights, and I guess it's a thing that I'm going with. As long as he avoids getting taken down and submitted, I feel like he should outvolume Herbert Burns. Herbert
I
Burns
agree.
has taken his opponents down several times, and then he has had lately two submissions where he did it standing. He didn't get the takedown, and he got it done that way. But I feel like that long layoff is going to be a big deal in this matchup, and I feel like Algier is going to point fight him and win by volume.
Yeah, that's definitely something that could happen. That 2 year layoff. Plus, if you go down to the
Yeah,
weights, he was, I think, he came out in almost 5 pounds overweight. So
yeah,
his last time out. So that's something to look at as well. But he has 4 out of 5 wins coming via submission. And the one that
yeah.
kind of stands out to me is the one against Derek Minner, who's a really good grappler. And if you could submit Derek Minner, you got some pretty good ground game.
Yeah, I do, but then that has happened to Derek Minner 2 or 3 times where he's
You're
gotten
right.
submitted early in the first round of fights. And he did that 2 fights later, so that's just to me that's just a matter of game plan by Minner and doing what people assume that he's going to do, and then counteracting it with their own game plan. Whereas I
Yeah.
feel like Ogio, he has been taken down, but he has had good submission defense. So as long as he doesn't get subbed, he should have a great chance in this fight. I feel like he could lose round one, like he did against Burrito, but then come back and win rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah, I really hope that they rebook that Billy Quarantillo and Bill Algeo fight.
Yeah,
I want
me
that.
too. But let's move on to the next fight on the prelim. We got one of my most anticipated fights of the weekend. We got a men's lightweight matchup between Dustin and Jacoby going up against Jeong. This is likely a battle to see who can uh, get that top 15 spot. Jacoby, I believe, is at 15 right now, but if he loses to Jeong, Jeong will likely take over the spot at 15. But we got the Hanyak going up against Jung Saseda. What are your thoughts on this matchup? And then who do you have winning, Jim?
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. This is one to pay attention to. This is a really good matchup between two talented strikers. I'm going with Dustin Jacoby. I think he's going to ride the momentum that Cody Brundage started last week with his win
Yeah.
over Trayshawn Gore. Jung has a really good right hand, uses his elbows very well, but Jacoby uses his range to do damage and is the better kickboxer, in my opinion. He also does a really good job at not getting knocked out when he goes to war with people. Dustin Jacoby's only been knocked out once, and it's to Alex Pereira. And obviously, we know Alex Pereira because we've been
Yeah.
talking about him. And if you watch the last pay-per-view, you know he's probably going to fight for the title. And he's one of the most powerful strikers to ever walk this planet. So I have Dustin Jacoby winning by decision. I don't see him knocking Da Jung out, but I see him racking up enough volume to piece together a decision win.
Let's look at the height and reach, and then let's see what the everybody else is thinking in this matchup. They have similar height, they have similar reach, so it's basically a wash there. But going down, it's almost a 50-50
Yeah,
with this matchup, 51-49. People are leaning slightly towards Jung by knockout here, and then Jacoby is more so decision, which is basically just like you said. Da Jung has that wicked right hand where he tends to knock his opponents out. He's done that in his last couple fights. If you look there, knocked out Kenny and Chekru with
yep,
the standing elbow. He actually took down William Knight 4 times, which was something that we haven't seen in a while from Don Jung because he does have that grappling background. That draw with Sam Alvey does look pretty bad right now, but then he KO'd
yeah,
Mike Rodriguez and submitted Kadis Iberginov in, I believe, his debut, whereas Jacoby decision against Mikhail Olchakek, decision John Allen, KO'd Darren Stewart. He drew with Ian Kudalaba because he got taken down 8 times, and then he decision Maxim Grisham. Jacoby is a world-renowned kickboxer, so it's all about whether he can outpoint Da Jung and outvolume him and avoid that right shot. And with Da Jung, I'd be interested to see if he decides to grapple with Dustin Jacoby, just like he did with William Knight, and if he can connect on that right hand or not. I'm going to go with Dustin Jacoby by decision here. I feel like he can avoid that shot and then out volume him with the leg kicks and his overhand shots plus the jab. I'd just be interested to see, just like I said, the big point. Will Da Jung look to grapple here, knowing that Jacoby is a kickboxer and he can just avoid the shots by staying out of distance
yeah.
and point playing him. So if he can do that, he's going to have a better shot of beating Dustin Jacoby than we think he is. Because I'm looking at the odds right now, and I believe it's minus 140 Jacoby and plus 120 Jung. So the odds are in Jacoby's favor because of the kickboxing, and that's why I'm leaning towards him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Da Jung can grapple and win by grappling with striking on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you got to see which one comes out, which Da Jung comes out
Yeah,
in this fight. That draw to Sam Alvey was one of the major deciding factors in my pick, because it doesn't age well.
Yeah.
Um, so that was one of the ones where I was like, oh man, if you're going to a draw with Sam Alvey, who, is still racking up UFC time because he's an active fighter, and is a legend in this game, but his career is on a downward tilt. So if you're not knocking Sam Alvey or winning that fight, Dustin Jacoby, in my opinion, is a little bit better than Sam Alvey at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But it could be one of those fights that could be like fight of the night, though, where it comes down to
Absolutely.
the wire, which I think it could. And seeing Dustin Jacoby last fight where he got hurt, and then that's basically what it was. That fight came down to the wire, and he, to me, inched out the victory in round 3.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen in this one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one a lot.
Yep. But let's move on to the next fight on the card. This is another main card fight to me, I feel.
Yeah.
We got Ricky Simone going up against Jack Shore. I believe both guys are in the top 15 at this moment. It's either that or Jack Shore is right outside. He was in it, but he might be outside of it now. We got Ricky Simone versus Jack Tank Shore. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
I like this fight a lot, man. This is going to be a fun one, but it's going to spend a lot of time on the ground, I think. I have Jack Shore winning this one. Both average a large amount of takedowns. They have great wrestling and are going to the mat, but I give the striking advantage to Shore. If he can keep the fight standing, which I can see him doing for a little bit, I can see him knocking out Simone, but I do believe this fight spends the majority of the time on the ground, with Jack Shore coming up with a decision win. Ricky Simone is he could pull out a last minute win. We saw it against Muradov in his debut. And he
Yeah.
can go full volume, balls to the wall. But Jack Shore, he's different. There's something about Jack Shore that I haven't put my finger on yet, but he's such a unique fighter that I'm really looking forward to seeing him back in action.
Yeah, diving into these two guys, Jack Shore has the 2-inch height advantage and the 1-inch reach advantage. People are thinking that Jack Shore is going to be the 74% favorite, whereas only 26% are going with Ricky Simone. This is, just like you said, this is going to be on paper, a heavy grappling matchup where Ricky Simone has the wrestling background. He averages a high clip rate of takedowns a fight. I believe his average is 5.5 takedowns a fight, mainly because he's had 2 fights where he had 12 takedowns and then one where he had 8. And in his last couple fights, he had a few against the Sunshine, and then he got that knockout.
Yeah, that was
And
great.
against Brian Carroll, I believe he had 6. So he's going to be all about getting the fight to the ground, but his striking has improved a lot lately, with his overhand and his hook shot. Just look at the last fight, he got the knockout. Whereas Jack Shore, he has that kickboxing background and then the BJJ background. He does a lot of work in the fight to the ground with the clinch game, standing up, and then he pulls the fight to the ground. So it's a different mixture of a takedown, whereas Ricky Simone is the more so wrestling takedown way of getting the fight to the ground. Jack Shore is the more unorthodox way
Hmm.
of the body lock to leg trip, getting the fight to the ground. But he has a lot of the submission game staying in as well. We saw in the fight in London, he basically broke his hand and he still won the fight. And he if the fight is staying in, he's going to outpoint Ricky Simone. But the fight goes to the ground, I would have to give the edge to Simone because of his striking on the ground. Because even though Jack Shore is a little bit bigger, I feel like he's looking for submission, whereas Ricky Simone is looking for ground and pound.
You're right.
And I always give the slight edge to the ground and pound because unless you get the submission, it's really null and void everything else, and then it goes to the feet. And it could be anybody's game on the feet. This was very tough for me to decide the winner just because these guys are so similarly matched in every way. It's just that one goes for the submission over position, and then the other is position and striking over submission.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean towards Ricky Simone in this matchup, and I'm going to lean towards him by a decision here just because I feel like unless there's a finish in the fight, I think he can outpoint Jack Shore. And I feel like Jack Shore will be okay getting taken down several times because he's going to be looking for that submission. And I feel like being in a debut against Muradov, who is a guy that really tested him, it's going to be good for him to go up against Jack Shore now. And with the odds in this matchup, which I believe the odds are Ricky Simone's coming in as the plus 135 underdog. I think I'm going to go with the underdog here over the favorite because they're similarly matched up in style with the grappling. But I'm going to lean towards the guy who can get more volume here in Ricky Simone on the ground. I feel like he's going to take him down several times, avoid the attempts by submission, and he's going to do a lot with the ground and pound.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke on it, and since entering the UFC, these guys have landed 52 takedowns between the two of them, with the majority being Ricky Simone's, but Jack Shore has 8 submission wins to Ricky's 3. So I wouldn't be
Yes.
surprised if Jack hunts for the neck late in the fight if it goes late.
Yeah, he has, just like you said, he has a lot of submission victories, whereas Ricky Simone has had like scatter. He has a couple of submission, couple of decision, and then a couple of KO. So
Yeah,
I feel like with the more scattered back, he's going to have more points to victory than Jack Shore, which is he relies a lot on submission over anything else.
yeah. This was a tough one for me, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep. Let's move on to the prelim main event on this card. We got a men's middleweight matchup between Puna Haley Soriano going up against Dolce Lungia Borah. We got Puna versus Champion. This is the fight where anything goes. This is
Yeah.
the bloodbath matchup right here. What are your thoughts on this matchup, and then who do you have winning?
Yeah, it's funny. Puna was just in the co-main event spot against Maximov a few months ago, right?
Yep.
And look how big one loss could do to you, right? You could just drop down to the
Yeah.
prelims. But this fight, like you said, could go either way based on their last few fights. I'm gonna go with Dalsha Lungiabula in this one, but I'm not confident about that at all. Puna has one punch knockout power, which we talked about, but has holes when it comes to defending takedowns. Dalsha gets ahead in fights, but makes bad decisions that costs him the fights late. I see Lungiambula shooting for takedowns and wearing Soriano out, kind of the path that Maximov took. But if he can't land them, and he's probably going to get knocked out because Puna's got that power.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Lungiambula winning a close fight by decision.
Yeah, we just saw the fact that Punahele Soriano got taken down a whopping like 10 times against Nick Maximoff, but then he has the striking. Dolce lately has been using his wrestling. He looked good against Cody Brundage, who just knocked out Trayshawn Gore,
Yep.
but he made that one small mistake after stunning him and then taking him down, and then he got submitted there. So just like you said, the untimely mistake by Dolce Lungiabora did him in. And it'll be a matter of will he make that same mistake in this matchup and get caught with the knockout because Punahele Soriano comes out strong in the first round. He just throws caution into the wind. And then once the second, third round start, he starts to slow down. But he's been prone, like we said, to getting taken down several times in fights. He's more of a stand-up striker, throwing a lot at you right away. And looking at this, he has the 3-inch height advantage, but then he has the 4-inch reach disadvantage,
Yep.
which could play into Dolce's backyard here. And that's why I'm going to go with Dolce Lungiabora by decision here. I've gone a lot by decision on this card, but I just feel like he's going to use that grappling background. He's going to try and take down Soriano. I think the first round they're going to have a war where they're going to go back and forth striking, and they might clip both of each other. But it's going to go into the second and third round, and I think the difference will be that that grappling background of Dolce Lungiabora. He'll be able to rely on that, whereas Soriano is going to have to rely on his striking, and he's going to start slowing down. And because of his takedown defense being bad, Dolce can take him down, hold him down, and eke out a decision victory without even having to talk about the first round and who
Yeah.
won that. So I got Dolce Lungia Borah by decision in this matchup.
Yeah. A part of me also sees Lungiabola tiring out late in the third and dropping this fight, but I'm going to go with him
Yeah.
too by decision. That's where I'm at.
That's the one. The one thing that cautions me in this matchup is if Lungia Borah gets hit with a shot by Soriano, Punahele Soriano, because it could happen.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I feel like he could withstand that. Though a lot of the mistakes he's made has been like getting submitted or getting taken down. He has been knocked out, but I feel like as long as he can get past the first round, he should be good good looking in the judge's eyes because he'll be able to grapple. And then looking, it's crazy to think that Soriano is the minus 260 favorite, and
Yeah.
then Dolce Lungia Borah is the plus 220 underdog. So that's big underdog odds for a guy who can grapple him. But they're thinking that Soriano's going to outstrike and possibly knock Lungia out. That could be one of my bets this week. Going with
Yeah.
Dolce Lungia just sprinkle a little bit on him and see if he can pull out that decision victory or even a
Yeah.
knockout.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the main card here. First, we got a fight that's been rescheduled twice. We got a women's flyweight matchup between Lauren Murphy going up against Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate is making her debut in the flyweight division. We got Lucky versus Cupcake. What are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, it's about time this fight finally happens, right?
Yep.
We talked about this, I feel like 2 months ago, just like we did the Battle of the Raphaels.
Yeah.
I have Miesha Tate winning this fight. She's dropping down, which leads me to think that she'll be faster and stronger in this one. This is a good move for her, in my opinion, because Murphy is a top three in the division, and if she wins, she's more than likely going to get a shot at Valentina, who is now the unbeatable queen of women's MMA.
Yeah.
Murphy is durable and strong, but I see her getting outworked and losing by decision.
Yeah, looking down here, we got 5-6 to 5-5 in favor of Miesha Tate, and then Miesha Tate has the 1.5 reach disadvantage. It's going to be a matter of Lauren Murphy going for the takedowns and getting the fight
Yep.
to the ground and looking for the ground and pound or submission. Or we got Miesha Tate looking to outpoint Lauren Murphy, but then she also has that ground game as well where
Yep.
she can look to submit Lauren Murphy. She has that in her repertoire. She just chooses to stand up and trade half the time. And then I'm interested to see how well she does cutting that weight and if it helps her with the movement because she's used to fighting bigger opponents and now she's going to be fighting lighter, smaller opponents. And I'm interested to see how she does when she cuts the weight and then puts it back on. How well she does against these the smaller competition, especially a grappler and Lauren Murphy. I think it favors Miesha Tate because she can put the weight on. It'll be harder for Murphy to take her down.
Yeah.
And I like the volume point fighting of Miesha Tate. She can stand up. You saw in the last fight, she came off of a 4-year layoff and put in over 100 strikes against Ketlin Vieira, who just beat Holly Holm, and then
Yep.
also beat Miesha Tate. Both fights went to decision. And Ketlin Vieira is a fighter who likes to grapple, and she was reluctant to do so because it was a 5-round fight. This is going to be 3, and Murphy won't have that same situation where she has to worry about going 5. But I feel like Miesha Tate will do well stuffing takedowns. She will outpoint her, and I could see either Miesha Tate winning by knockout round 3 or winning by decision.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there. I'm decision fight with this one, but Murphy could pull it out if she
Yeah,
stuffs those takedowns.
yeah,
But to your point about the weight class, I think this is a good move, like you said, for Misha. I think this is her natural weight class.
yeah,
Um, she's going to be evenly matched in terms of height with these fighters as opposed
Yeah,
to at
and
bantamweight.
she comes in the minus 170 favorite, whereas
Yeah,
Lauren Murphy is the plus 145 underdog. So that has a lot to say with her making the cut down, and
yeah,
then also being the better striker.
yep.
Let's move on to the next fight on the main card here on UFC and ABC 3. We got a men's featherweight matchup between Shane Burgos, who's going up against Charles Jourdain. We got the Hurricane going up against Air. What are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, I like this fight a lot too, and I feel it's going to be closer than most people are thinking it's going to be. This is going to be a war, but I feel like I'm going to go with Burgos on this one because it's going to be a war of the feet. He takes a shot to give a shot, or I'm sorry, he takes a shot to get in two shots.
Yeah.
But Jourdain is explosive and could land one of those flying or spinning attacks that he does and end this fight pretty quickly. I see this one actually going the distance, probably 100 plus strikes per fighter. And it could honestly be a split, but I have Burgos winning by decision.
Yeah, looking at this right now, he has the 2 inch height advantage and the whopping 6 inch reach advantage
Yep.
here. Now let's go look down here. A lot of people are leaning 70% towards Burgos and only 30% towards Jourdain. I'm going with Shane Burgos just like you. And I think the big thing in this matchup is the fact that he has a high level chin. It's hard to knock him out. I don't think he's been knocked out in his UFC career at all.
Oh, that Edson Barbosa fight.
Other than that,
Yeah, that was a scary moment. That
yeah,
was
that
a
was a
scary,
scary.
scary fight.
But then I think that was the one. And then other than that, he's lost by decision, and then he came back and won by decision to Billy Quarantino, who is a high level striker
Yeah.
coming in, but he was able to withstand all those shots, and then he has the cardio to come back, and then he wound up winning that fight coming from behind. Whereas Charles or Jourdain, he can grapple with you, he can strike with you, he has that knockout power. But the one thing that he doesn't have is the volume on his side.
Right.
He's had to come back and win by knockout in his past couple wins because of the volume game, and because Shane Burgos is coming in and he has a iron chin. The one reason he lost to Edson Barbosa was all those leg kicks he was taking. I feel like they took damage to him. I wouldn't say he got knocked out by Edson Barbosa. I'd just say he took so much damage that he couldn't compute it into his mind, and then he just self-destructed because he took a lot of damage by leg kicks in that
Yeah.
fight.
It looked like he
And
died.
yeah, it
Like
looked like he died.
it was
He he
scary.
he wanted to go, but then his mind wouldn't let him. So
His body
that
said no,
tells you,
thank you.
yeah, that tells you a lot about him and how much damage he can take before getting knocked out. That his body shut down before he did.
Yeah.
So I feel like the one advantage Charles Jourdain would have, which is his knockout power, won't come to play in this matchup. And I feel like Shane Burgos is going to come in there. He has better cardio, better striking, better combinations, better movement. I think he gets it done by decision in this matchup. And I've said
Yeah.
this majority of the card decision, but it fits a lot of these fights for me. And he's coming in as the minus 190 favorite, whereas Charles Jourdain is the plus 160 underdog.
Yeah, I mean that reach advantage is something crazy too. 6 inches reach advantage for a guy who loves to throw hands. That's going to be it's going to force Charles Jourdain to be more active. He can't be a counter
Yes.
puncher, and it may force him to go to the ground more often.
He's going to look for that knockout, but it's going to be hard for him to get it. Like he'll have options to hit him because Shane Burgos tends to leave his face open at times, but
Yep.
Shane Burgos should be able to withstand those shots, to give him 2 to 3 shots to the one shot of Jourdain, and then as long as he doesn't get knocked out, he should get an easy decision victory. I say it's
Nice.
easy, but I only say it because of the matchup itself.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a competitive fight, but I feel like Burgos can take those big shots, and then he should be able to outvolume Jourdain in this.
Yeah, it's a potential fight of the night.
Yep. But let's move on to the next fight on the main card. We got a men's flyweight matchup between Matt Snell going up against Sumodji. We got Danger versus the Tibetan Eagle. What are your thoughts on this fight, Jim? And then who do you have winning?
I have Sumodji winning this fight. He's got a good left hand, and he's fighting out a southpaw stance, which tends to, trick up some fighters. He's very accurate, and he has good striking defense. Schnell lands a strike, but takes damage on the way out, just like we talked about with Burgos. And Sumodji has one punch knockout power. And with Schnell's takedowns to land, or take two to land one approach, has knockout written all over it. But I think he'll be a little more cautious. I have Sumodji winning this one by decision.
Yeah, let's look into this. They both are 5'8", and then Sumodji has the 2-inch reach advantage. If you look down below, 79% are leaning towards Sumodji, half by knockout, half by decision. We got Matt Snell, who does a little bit of everything well. He has good striking, he has good grappling, good BJJ. He likes to take the fight to the ground, but he also likes to stand up and strike. We've said this before in many Matt Snell predictions. He likes to go around and train at different gyms, but he never stays there a long time to get really good at it. He gets good at something, and then he goes on and he learns something else. So he has a little bit of everything in his training, but he hasn't really gotten great at one thing, and that's kind of been the downfall in his fights, is the fact that he hasn't really stayed somewhere long enough to master it and to utilize it better. Whereas Sumodji has that long length, he has a really good knockout power. He strikes well. He throws a lot of combinations really fast. He has good movement. He has good cardio. What I like about him is he likes to throw that leg kick to the body and then to the head, and then he'll mix in a strike to it. He can throw the jab, throw the overhand, a shot, and the hook, and then he is good with the volume game. I was really looking forward to that matchup with him and Manel Kape before Kape had to bail out of that fight due to, I believe, COVID, and then both guys got rebooked with different opponents. So, and in that matchup, I had Sumodji. So I'm leaning towards Sumodji, second round knockout in this matchup. I feel like he's going to be the better striker. He'll be able to defend the takedowns, and I believe he catches Matt Snell with one of those shots and knocks him out. If you look here, Brandon Royval submitted Matt Snell. He got decision by Rogerio Bontarine, who is basically out of the UFC now. He's making the move up the bantamweight on the regional scene to work his way back to the UFC. And then he got KO'd by Alexander Pantoja. And I feel like Sumodji is a better striker than Pantoja. So I'm going round 2 knockout by Sumodji in this matchup.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being a knockout for Mudarji, but he's been off a year and may come in a little more cautious and let the fight evolve. But he still got those hands, man. It's definitely going to be his fight to lose if he comes in slow.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. He's coming in the minus 250 heavy favorite, whereas Matt Snell is the plus 210 heavy underdog. So the odds makers are definitely looking at it in the same way we are. And this is the first fight where I really feel like somebody's going to get knocked out.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to the next fight on the main card, we got the fight before the co-main event. We got a men's welterweight matchup between Ling going up against Muslim Salkov. We got a battle of guys ranked between 10 and 15 in the welterweight division. We got the Leech going up against the King of Kung Fu. Jim, what are your thoughts on this matchup, and then who do you have winning?
Yeah, man, this is an interesting fight. Both are coming off of a layoff, but Muslim has been riding a 5-fight win streak. So I'm going to go with
Yeah,
Salkov in this one, but I think it's going to be a really close one. Li Jingliang does enough to get wins and has shown a ton of potential, but then he gets outworked. So it's very much like Uriah Hall, where like he comes in and he has all the potential, but then he comes out and he throws a dud up there.
yeah.
Muslim is more technical on his fight approach, and isn't afraid to mix it up on the ground. This is going to be a drawn out fight to me, but I have Muslim winning by decision, and I honestly think this could be a split decision.
Yeah, it could, because if you look at it right here, he is coming in the 1 or 2 inch height disadvantage, and then Li Jiling has the 3 inch reach advantage. If you go down here, 68% are leaning towards Salkov by decision, whereas only 32 are leaning towards Li Jiling. And Li Jiling is going to win this matchup. I feel like it's going to be by knockout because he
Yep,
has knockout power. He likes to stand up and trade with his opponents. He does have the grappling background. He trains in the Chinese grappling, but of course he tends to fall into the trap of getting trigger happy and stands up and trades with his opponents. But then he does has those fights where he does grapple and like to take his opponents to the ground. Whereas Muslim Salkov is all about the takedowns. He's all about he has I believe, the Greco-Roman background. He has the Sanda background, so he can strike with you, but then he likes to get the fight to the ground. It's like that judo slash striking style combination that he uses. Just like he uses the same thing that Norman Dumont likes to use. And it's very effective in fights. And I'd be interested to see if he can use that to throw Li Jinling, a bigger guy, to the ground and then control him on the mat. He's all about
yep,
control over submission damage in his fights. He controls the fight and then he throws when he has the moments to. And I'm leaning towards Salkov by decision as well. If you look at the odds right now, about to bring them up on here, he is the minus 175 favorite, whereas Li Jiling's plus 150 underdog. And the main reason is because of the grappling. He should have an advantage getting the fight to the ground and just controlling Li Jiling on the mat. Kamzat Shemaev just destroyed him. It was a little bit different. Shemaev had a similar height and reach, and then he just came in and looked well against Gilbert Burns. But this guy has the big time grappling background, should be able to take him down, control him on the mat, and do damage, striking and looking for submissions here. But I think at the end of the day, he'll get the win by decision here, and then he'll switch spots in with Li Jiling in the rankings.
yep, right there with you.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's like I feel like Li Jinling can get the knockout, and I think if you're leaning towards his way, to go with Li Jiling by knockout, but it's like if he can't stuff the takedowns, then the pass, the victory are going to diminish vastly for Li Jiling against a guy
Yeah,
like Salkov.
totally agree.
Let's move on to the co-main event, Ethan. We got a women's matchup between Michelle Waterson, who's going up against Amanda Lemos, who just a month or two ago was in the main event of Fight Night. This is going to be contested at flyweight. We got the Karate Hottie versus Amandina. What are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you have winning, Jim?
Yeah, this is a good matchup. It's an interesting matchup. I have Lemos winning this fight, but I could see Waterson getting the nod as she has fought the best in the division. You know, she's a vet. She knows how to point fight. But I'm leaning towards Lemos because Waterson struggles against rangy strikers, and Lemos has the power and 3-inch reach advantage. So I'm going to go with Lemos by second round knockout. I think she stops Karate Hottie.
Yeah, coming to this matchup, a big point to bring up is the fact that Michelle Waterson had a career-threatening injury
Yep.
that she's coming back from. So we didn't even know if she was going to return to the octagon, and now she's coming back. So that's something to keep an eye on in this matchup. How is she going to look coming back from that, and then you got the fact that Waterson is going to be the bigger fighter but she's going to be 1 inch smaller, and 3 inch reach advantage is going to go towards Lemos, and 84% are lean towards Lemos, whereas only 16% are lean towards Waterson. This is going to be a situation where you got Michelle Waterson, who has the Muay Thai, kickboxing, grapple, and BJJ background, and then Lemos has the striking and BJJ background on her side. And it'll be just a matter of, to me, will the volume game win of Waterson, or will the power game of Lemos win in this matchup? Because she could knock out Waterson, and the odds right now are screaming minus 380 towards Lemos, and then plus 310 on Waterson. So it's like they're thinking that Lemos, who is the fresher fighter, like fighting wise, she's been active, has that knockout power, where Waterson a lot of times goes to decision, and then she's coming off that crazy injury that could have put her on the shelf for good.
Yeah.
One thing though to keep an eye on is the fact that Waterson has better cardio. She's gone 5 rounds several times and has looked well, even though she's lost in 1 or 2 of them, whereas Lemos has shown holes in her gas tank, but has looked good early on and has improved a little bit. She did face great competition in Jessica Andrade. She got submitted standing up round 1, but she's starting to throw good in that matchup before that. So it would have been cool to see that fight had it gotten longer into the main event rather than just get finished in the first round. But I feel like this is going to be good for Amanda Lemos. I think she gets the first round knockout. I think she catches Waterson due to the octagon rest, and she gets back in the win column. I think she's minus 300 for a reason, and I think it's because of that striking that she has.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you, man. This is going to be a good fight, though.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and that just stands out. The fact that Waterson, I feel like Waterson is very small, but she's coming in there 10 pounds heavier in this matchup. So I wonder if that's going to play any factor into this, that she comes in with that, because she's going to be cutting. Actually, she's going to be moving up, I believe.
No, Lemos is moving up.
So Lemos is moving back up. Okay.
Yeah. So she's going to have more power on those punches.
Yeah.
Because she's not going to have to cut as much.
Yeah, so that's going to be good, that she's going to put more weight on. She's not going to have to cut as much. And then she is the knockout fighter, so maybe it's going to help her gas tank a little bit more. And going up against Waterson, and the movement will be a factor. I think Waterson's the better volume striker and should last longer, but I feel like she could get caught, because I've seen moments in fights where her head's not being defended. Yeah, I feel like Lemos can capitalize on that.
Yep, definitely.
Yep. So let's move on to the main event of the evening. We got the 5-round featherweight matchup between top 5 featherweights in the men's division. Brian Ortega, who's going up against Yair Rodriguez. We got T-City versus El Pantera. What are your thoughts on this main event? And then who do you have winning in this top 5 matchup?
I absolutely love this main event. Honestly, I don't care who wins this fight. I just want to see it. This is fight of the night, and it won't disappoint. Neither of these fighters have been submitted, so I don't see that happening, although T-City is really good with his BJJ. Yair has been more of the knockout artist through his career, while Ortega has been a submission and decision fighter.
I just got that last-second knockout against Crane Zombie pictured into my head when I think of Yair.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I think of when I think of Yair, and when I think of T-City, I think of his fight with Cub Swanson, with like that hanging guillotine. Both are fresh and healthy, which is something to look at after a long layoff. and both are looking to get back into title contention. The winner of this fight is going to get the shot at Volkanovski, I think. They're 2-3 in the division. Max, I don't think, is going to get a fourth fight. So I think the winner gets the fight out of this one. Um, I'd like to see Ortega be more methodical in his fight instead of standing and bagging. And his last three fights, his opponents have thrown a total of 566 strikes, um, which is 200 more than Yair has faced in his
Yeah.
last three. Ortega would benefit from taking advantage of angles and hunting submissions where Yair and wear Yair down. But I see this being a war on the feet. So with that, I'm going with Yair by decision.
Yeah, this is a very tough fight to predict here. And then another point to point out, Volkanovski broke his thumb. He's going to be out, I believe, 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's not going to be ready to go until 2023. And because of that, I feel like the winner of this is going to wind up facing Josh Emmett to see who
Yeah.
faces him. I
Keep
feel
forgetting
like
about
that's going to
Josh.
happen. They put out that whole thing about Josh Emmett being disrespected by being put up high, not being in the first couple rows, and not putting the shine on him and being like, God, this is the next challenger. I feel like
Yeah.
that's what's going to wind up happening is the winner of this will face him because they're going to not have Volkanovski until early 2023. But look at
Yeah.
here the numbers. Uh, Yair is going to have the 3-inch height advantage and the 2-inch reach advantage. If you go down here, everybody's leaning 66% towards Yair, towards Brian Ortega, was only 34% are leaning towards Yair Rodriguez. When you look at the odds for this fight, when I bring it up in a second, it is lean plus 140 underdog is Yair, whereas minus 165 Brian Ortega. So Brian Ortega is the favorite in this matchup. He has the high level BJJ background. Of course, he is one of the big time Gracie students. He is a great trainer. He was just on The Ultimate Fighter with Volkanovski as a head coach there. He showcased a lot. And he's been active in the fighting. He lost to Volkanovski. He had his moments where we thought he could have submitted Volkanovski, but Volkanovski wound up doing what he does best and wins by decision. He defeated Korean Zombie, where
Yep.
I feel like he just picked him apart. He lost to Max Holloway by KO. Well, then he defeated Frankie Edgar by KO and Cub Swanson by submission. And he's been active. So that's one thing in this matchup I'm pointing out. Yair came back from a long layoff and lost by decision to Holloway. He defeated Jeremy Stevens by decision, but that was over a year and a half before the Max Holloway fight. He drew with Stevens because of of course, eye poke. He defeated Chan Sung Jung by KO, which he was losing that fight until that last second KO.
Yeah. What a weird shot.
Yeah. And then he lost to Frankie Edgar by KO. So they have similar opponents under their belt. And Brian Ortega has had the better within those similar opponents. He has that. Yeah, I feel like Yair Rodriguez has the Taekwondo background. He throws a lot of leg kicks in his fights. You saw that he did a lot of damage to Max Holloway with the leg kicks.
Yep.
Yeah, he threw over 50% of his strikes were the leg kicks. He throws to the calf, to the body, and to the head, and then he mixes in the jab and the hook into that, and then the counter shot as well. But he's going to be primarily throwing leg kicks, whereas Brian Ortega, he throws a little bit of leg kicks. He throws the overhand shots, but then he looks to get inside and take the fight to the mat, and then he has the wide range of submissions that he looks to go into. This being 5 rounds, this is going to be one of those fights where it's does the fight go to the ground or does the fight stand up? If the fight goes to the ground, it's leaned heavily towards Brian Ortega. But if the fight stands up, Yair Rodriguez will have the nod here. So it's just a matter of who can instill their game plan and do it for majority of the fight and then get ahead, because that's what's going to matter in this matchup. And a lot of people are leaning towards Ortega because of his expertise with getting the fight to the ground. And last fight, Yair Rodriguez actually got taken down 3 times by Max Holloway. And we're not used to seeing Max Holloway doing that. Hey, that was a shock in that matchup. So I feel like I'm going to go with Brian Ortega. I'm going to go with round 3 sub via guillotine for the sheer fact that Yair Rodriguez has been prone to be taken down several times in fights. And then just the fact that a guy that doesn't look to take people down, Max Holloway, if he's able to take him down 3 times, we can only imagine what Brian Ortega is going to do. Granted, Yair probably didn't game plan for Max Holloway to go and do that. And he's going to game plan for Brian Ortega to do that. But Brian Ortega was able to take down Volkanovski twice, and Volkanovski's very good at defending the takedown.
Yep.
So I feel like he's going to take him down several times. He's going to look for the submissions. He's going to do a little bit of ground and pound, and then he's going to do a little bit of work. I do think Yair Rodriguez is going to have success on the feet with his leg kicks, but I think the guillotine is going to be his demise in round 3, and Brian Ortega is going to pick up the victory by round 3 sub, and it's going to set up a matchup between him and Josh Emmett to see who faces Volkanovski in the future.
Yeah. If anyone's going to sub Yair, it's going to be Ortega. So yeah, I could see it happening.
He's just the level of grappling and BJJ just favors him in that division. Yep. Just like I said, I felt like he had his chances against Volkanovski, even though Volkanovski had the better of him on the feet. But if that was anybody else in that guillotine at that time, he would have submitted them. But Volkanovski does very well under pressure, and I feel like it's going to be a similar situation, but Yair's going to tap. And I think that was round 3 as well in that matchup against Volk. So I got round 3 sub via guillotine, and I think he gets it done.
All right.
But other than that, that'll wrap things up with the full card breakdown of UFC on ABC 3. I'm going to bring up the odds right now to give you guys a couple of my bets right now that I'm looking at for this week. As you see right there, the odds. I talked about it earlier. I'm going to take a chance on Dolce Lungia Borah plus 220 money line. Like I did very bad last week, so I'm looking to get back on track. So the first is Dolce Lungia Borah plus 220 money line. I'm going to go with that. I feel like he can sneak out a victory with his grappling and avoid the knockout shot. The next one I am going to go with is Brian Ortega money line. I am going to pick him to win by the money line. You got minus 165. I might actually do that and then pick him to win by sub as a sub bet of that, because I feel like he could there's a high chance he could win by sub. So I'm going to go with Ortega money line, but then I'm also going to go with by sub under that as a sub bet. So it's going to be 2 different bets there for that. So I'm going to take the chance there. I'm also going to go with, on this fight, I'm going to go with Sumodji. I'm going to go with him by KO to knock down a little bit of that minus 250, to get it more towards minus 100, minus 125, to give me better odds there. And then I'm going to go with the fun trio parlay. The first part of that is going to be, I'm going to go with right now Muslim Salkov minus 175. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with likely Nisha Tate minus 170. And then to round that out, I'm going to go with Ricky Simone plus 135. I'm going to go call that the grapplers trio because Nisha Tate does grapple, and I feel like she might grapple on the cage, but I'm going to go with those 3 as a trio parlay, all by money line. So once again, I got that trio. I got Dolce Lungia Borah money line, and then once again, Brian Ortega money line, and then the third one was Sumodji by knockout. So those are my bets right now for this week. They could change via the weigh-ins. I always look at weigh-ins before I make them official. I could put them in and take them out and switch them if somebody misses weight or doesn't look as good. Those are big deals when it comes to betting. You got to look at the weigh-ins every Friday to make sure that the fighters are looking good, looking in shape. And if a guy winds up going overweight, it might work in their favor. So you got to keep an eye on that. We haven't mentioned that in episodes past, so I'm going to mention it now. That a big thing in this game is watch the weigh-ins because you got to see how they look going into the fight the next day. But those are my early odds with my bets right now. I will put them in the comment section, and I'll let you know if I changed them or not. But more than likely, I won't. But other than that, before we get going, as always, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button on the video on the YouTube channel and join the network, and then hit the notification bell. So whenever I put any of the content out, you guys get it right away. And then, of course, smash the like button down below. Help us out with the algorithm. We're doing better and better each week. And then a lot of you guys like the content we put out. So just do us a favor, smash the like button, and then get the comment section going. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. And give me any of your surprise picks for this week's UFC on ABC3. I want to hear them. I want to hear all you have to say about this card in the comment section, and then I will respond back to everything like I always do. And then, of course, I would just want to give a shout out to our sponsor before we go, Tate Herbal. Use promo code CageMyIQ10 at checkout to receive 10% off your next purchase. And if you're saying right now, who is Tate Herbal? Watch this video right now.
Offering high-quality, sustainable products with all-natural, lab-tested ingredients, it's High Tide Herbal's mission to help others live the longest, healthiest, and most productive lives possible. Their hemp-derived CBD products have a wide variety of uses, from helping sore muscles to skin hydration and minimizing skin irritation. They generate results based on your specific needs. Elevate your lifestyle with the new wave of wellness. Visit hightideherbal.com to learn more.
That is High Tide Herbal. Once again, we're running the promo with them. Promo code at checkout, CageMyIQ10, to receive 10% off your next purchase. Well, that'll do it for, of course, today's 4-card breakdown. We will be back next week to do a breakdown of UFC back to London. They are back in London for fight night. Of course, there's nothing else but UFC going on. Of course, for the next couple of weeks, we don't have PFL coming back until August. And then the next Bellator fight won't be until the end of July. So most of the content is just going to be the UFC breakdowns and the Draftkings DFS by Cage episodes. And then I do have an interview in the works right now for next week. So tune into the network, check out all the content that we have. And then, of course, look for the UFC Back to London fight night breakdown early next week. But other than that, I'm your host, Cage. This is my co-host, Jim, and we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.